G'day. It's a beautiful Sunday, and we haven't gone away this weekend. We've gone away pretty much the last 3 weekends in a row since the COVID-19 restrictions were lifted. So this weekend, just decided to spend it at home and dedicate some time to doing some vehicle prep. It's that time again where we've got a big trip coming up, and just need to make sure I've sorted out a few little issues in the Luxy, and I'll get it booked in to get looked over underneath the car, particularly steering and suspension, make sure all that's in good order, go through my spare parts again, and basically just fix a few little things that I know that have some issues, give it a quick little service before it goes. Basically we'll be hitting the road, so it'll be pretty good. We're getting just over 3 weeks, and it's a bit of an outback adventure. I'll give some more details on that soon. Pretty excited about it. Should be a pretty epic trip. Not going with the crew this time, just totally solo. So just me and Michelle in the Luxy, headed out to the outback basically. So hoping the border restrictions lift, because we will be going into New South Wales, South Australia, and obviously Queensland, and visiting a number of national parks and some pretty iconic spots, and pretty special little event in the middle of it. So I'll give you some more information on that shortly. But we'll just get stuck into the vehicle, and I'll just give you a bit of a rundown on how I go about making sure everything's in order before we do such a trip. So anyway, yesterday we were at Aaron's, and I've just got a shovel mount put in. You can buy the shovel mounts and stuff for roof racks and all sorts of stuff. We don't really have the sort of right setup to attach one of those things to. I'm sure you could do it, but just in a neat way. Didn't really like how they would have gone on. So yesterday at Aaron's we had a pretty good time. Just driving down to Paget, which is pretty much the industrial area of Mackay. But first things first, can't get a bloke into his workshop on a Saturday without some compensation. So we're just going to pull up here and sort that out. Righto, so Aaron's come up with this mad plan. Yeah. We've been given a few good coats of looking at, hey Aaron?
Yep, went through a few options, but I think this is the best option.
So that'll sit roughly there. Less of a bump head hazard there than on the other side. But yeah, so what do you reckon, Aaron?
I reckon it's a brilliant idea, mate. Bore a hole through there, through the other side of the tube, slide 100mm of that in there. Have it hanging out a little bit, have a little T-bar locking pin on the top. Bob's your uncle. Do another one down the other end.
Yeah, so just a bit worried about this end rattling around inside the tube on any sort of corrugations or rough roads. But Aaron's got some 10mm plate there. So same thing on the other side of this bar, out of the way. Just going to make another little turnbuckle just to clamp that in the inside of that tube, and it should be all good. What do you reckon, mate?
Sounds like a plan, mate.
Alright, first things first, huh?
Have a beer. Am I on the mark?
No. Down. Yeah. Point of no return now.
Don't want that thing bouncing around in here and lost and go. The worst thing that can happen, mate, is that you have a slot for something. Don't fall in there, you fucker. Yes.
Excellent. There we go. Hole sorted. Just like that. Weight reduction, bro.
We're coming about 5mm. Yeah, plenty of room.
Sweet. Yeah, TIG that to that, and then that'll be our little base, and we'll thread it, and for our little turnbuckle it'll tighten up the shovel when it's in its place.
So it's an AC-DC TIG. Obviously AC for aluminium, DC for your stainless and mild steel. It's a high frequency torch, gas to help clean it obviously. Pretty easy to use.
What's the difference between that and a TIG, MIG?
Well, you feed the wire on a TIG. Mig feeds the wire out the end.
Yeah, right.
This is for much more more finesse work.
Yeah, right.
Light work, heavy work, but it just gives a nice finish.
Yeah, right.
Mig's speedy, still a good job, but it's for the speedy jobs, you know, like welding up big frames.
Yeah, okay.
This one here can do alloy and stainless and mild steel, so not a bad little rig.
Yeah, right. That's obviously a lot more expensive though?
No, these are actually like mid-range sort of, it's a union MIG, so it's like, it used to be a SIG weld, they used to be called SIG weld, but it's like a mid-range entry-level sort of welder.
Oh, right.
But it's a digital one, so the technology's come so far. It's just when I started on these things, they had a whole foot pedal and you had to scratch the bloody thing, and it was these. Yeah, anybody can use them really with a little bit of practice.
Yeah, right.
But yeah.
They call it laying dimes or something, do they?
Yeah, that's it. That will do the trick.
Yep, so you take your positive terminal off when you're welding on your vehicle. So shit doesn't go, how you going? Burn to the ground. You can hear that water. You can hear the water boiling. What do you reckon, mate?
I reckon it's a good job done.
Saturday mods, mate. Thanks for coming in to work.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to do that.
Good, mate.
Brilliant.
Bit of lick of paint and you'll never know.
That's it. Just don't hit your head. So yeah, it turned out pretty good. There it is there. Just got to give it a bit of a paint up. Got to move this light again. I think I've moved this light once before, and I have to move it again now. So it's got to come this way a little bit because we had to put the bolt down through where the initial bolt was for this this awning bracket, which was directly in line with the tube on the outside where the shovel goes into now. So it's completely hidden. So it's not sitting out in the weather. So the handle should stay good for a long time. But I probably won't even have it in there all the time. I'll obviously just take it out when we're not on trips and that, but that's just a real nice, quick, easy way to get to a shovel. When you're on the trails, it's pretty important to get to your shovel pretty quick. We used to just throw it in, just used to go loose everywhere, and sometimes we tied it on and it was just a pain in the ass because then you had to untie it to get to it. So at least this way, it's just a quick little turn of that. Little grub screw made. And out she comes. So yeah, I'll just tidy that up today as well, give it a lick of paint, put that bolt back through the awning in a new spot, move this light over. That's the first things I'm going to do. One of the other things that have been playing up is my bloody radio. So I've pulled that out. I suspect that it's got something to do where the cable goes in, because it's a bit scratchy and sometimes people can hear me, sometimes they can't, and I tend to just grab that and shake it a bit and it works on and off. So I'll pull it apart and see if there's anything visual that I can fix. So otherwise this thing's in the bin. Other things, I'll just go over the little 12 volt system, check the batteries, make sure they've got suffice water. This little switch here, fix that. That's come loose, so I don't know how many times now. That just runs these lights underneath here, underneath the awning, underneath the rack here. And this little reverse light, which is good for setting up in the dark. All my spare parts are still in the box, so I'll go through that and make sure they're all good. And the only other thing I'm going to do is get some new tyres. So I've been running these Conforcer tyres now for, it'd have to be nearly 2 years, I guess. And they've been pretty good. I've only just replaced the the front ones when we came back from Cape York last year. So that's coming up on nearly 12 months anyway. Still got a bit of tread left, but it hasn't done too bad. They've done about 30,000 Ks all up. The front ones not so much, but they've been pretty good for a cheap tyre. It's coming down between a Maxxis Razor and a Mickey Thompson Baja All-Terrain, ATP3 or something. Both pretty much in the price range of what we're looking at. There's some out there that are worth like nearly $500 a tyre, and I shan't be paying that. But anyway, the cheapest I could find in town for the Maxxis Razor is about $330 a tyre, fitted and balanced, all that. So that seems to be the go. And I was a bit turned off by the Mickey T's recently, just because a mate of mine, Matty Schmitz, his bloody same tyres just absolutely blew apart on him. So I wasn't too impressed when I saw that. They're probably old and all that sort of stuff, but at the same time it kind of instantly turned me off them. And it was out of those two, so I'm pretty sure we're going to go the Maxxis Razor. But I've got to probably have another 4 weeks before I have to decide on that. Get the tyres and wheel lined, and we should be good to go then. But anyway, I'd like to start on this light and fix that up, give that little whatever you want to call that, a paint, and we pull this bloody CB apart. Righto, so lights back in. All I did was riv nut through the existing hole, so at least I didn't have to drill another hole in there. It's starting to look a bit ugly in that corner. Anyway, all good. Riv nuts are a brilliant thing. Bought this kit a couple of years ago, and basically just like a blind rivet that goes on the end of here. Drill your hole, and you put that in, and you squeeze it, and then what that'll do is that'll go in between, like in your little hole that you've drilled. It'll open up on both sides and make a nice clamp, nice fixing, and you basically got like a little riv nut, or I don't even know what they call the proper term for it is, but I've always called them riv nuts. So yeah, they're a great thing, especially for like sheet metal and stuff like that. Alright, so I just pulled apart the UHF unit, and I believe I've found the problem. So yeah, that clips in there just like a normal cat cable, but it doesn't clip in. It's like broken or something, so it's just vibrating out and not giving a good contact, so you can just pull it straight out. So when you're grabbing this and you're pulling it and this cable just goes in and out, it must be pulling it in and out, and it's only getting a good contact, like, on and off sort of moment. So I'm not really too sure what to do there. I might put a zip tie around it just to hold it in, but that's about the most I could do besides gluing it in, but don't really want to do that. So I'll put that together and put the zip tie around it and put it back in the car and see what happens. Well, cracking it open again. Wouldn't change channel now. It's moments away from being tossed in the bin, I tell ya. Back in action. I just got a radio check on channel 40, so if you ever want a radio check, you're not sure your UHF's not working, just go to channel 40 and just ask for a radio check, and some good cobber out there will let you know that they've got you. But that's all working again now. Our channel's changing. I just pulled it apart. It didn't seem to be contacting the switch inside on the circuit board properly, so with a bit of manipulation with a little knife, I was able to bend and prong it back into position, and good to go again. So we're sweet. Something that's been needing to be done for a while is put a bit of a rod holder up here. So I bought these from Aldi of all places about 6 months ago, or more actually, probably almost a year ago. And they're really good. They just snap in, snap out, holds it in there pretty firmly. And I just thought up there on the back of the awning would be the best spot for it. A lot of people put it on the front of their bull bars and that, but I think like trekking through some of the forests and tracks that we do, I don't really want my fishing rod getting absolutely totaled, so still have to watch it up here with some of those high branches that sit over. But yeah, that's a pretty good spot. Just have to figure out something for the front, stop that rattling around. All in all, that's a pretty good spot for me fishing rod, I reckon. Hardly ever see the bushes on top, but should be right. In saying that, I'm just seeing the front of my or the roof of my car. You probably can't see it on this video, but it's pretty scratched up. So I'll just have to watch that. It should be right. But that's pretty much this Sunday done, and I'll get back into it in a couple of weeks. And here's my list. So we've got the switch box done today, rod holder and shovel bracket, and as I said, tie down points. I got some tub mounts also while I was at Aaron's yesterday. Just got these high density polyethylene. They look like body blocks. They're pretty much the same material, but they're just to go underneath. Don't know if the camera will get it. Oh, yes it will. So just in these middle bits, there's just a bit of a gap there, and I've noticed they've become a bit uneven, so I'm obviously gonna have to put something in there. So that's what those blocks are for. So I'll get them glued in probably tomorrow night, see how we go. So that's the body mounts. I'll do the oil change and filters closer to the time, go through all my spare parts, make sure they're all good and got them packed in. Steering and suspension will be done at the workshop, and so will tyres. They're the very last things to do. But anyway, next weekend became free, so we might actually go out on a bit of an overnighter, see how we go, and then I'll cut back into this vehicle prep next time. But pretty good Sunday. Got a bit done, even though it doesn't look like too much done. But just a couple of things I've been meaning to fix for ages, so it's good that they're done and all ready for our trip. But anyway, go enjoy the rest of the afternoon. It's about 5 o'clock, and get some tucker on. See you next week.